So, can you guess what genre Quiz Marugoto The World belongs to? The PC Engine has a surprising number of trivia games. My quick survey counted a dozen of them, and there's no guarantee I'm not skipping over a few. That is quite a lot for such a niche genre. The impression I have is that storage had finally become cheap enough that trivia games were viable on consoles, and so there was a very sudden boom in them. In the case of Quiz Marugoto The World, it has a very obvious inspiration that it's drawing from: the television show America Odan Ultra Quiz. That game show had been event television in Japan for 15 years, with 1/4 of the country tuning in to watch contestants race across the US and answer trivia questions. America Odan Ultra Quiz was starting to get video game adaptations at this point, but Atlas beat them to the punch with their own Race Around the World Answering Trivia Questions game. There are 4 different game modes here. 2 of them are multiplayer, one of those a head-to-head competition and the other a tournament bracket. The standard single-player Quiz Around the World, and a bingo mode. The bingo is incredibly slow. You have to provide your own cards, of course, and when someone does get a bingo, there's no way to exit the mode. You have to reset the console. That one's a real, why did they even bother putting this on the disc? But let's get to the quizzing. You get a TV show-style introduction that explains the rules of the competition. Basically, you get points based on how quickly you ring in. You lose points for getting a wrong answer, and if you accumulate too many strikes, then you can't continue regardless. But getting 3 correct answers in a row eliminates one of those strikes. One interesting thing about Quiz Marugoto The World is that all of the questions are voiced. There are no text questions for you to read. So also no subtitles for that voice. As far as I can tell, all of the rounds pull from the same pool of questions. To ring in, you press any direction on the D-pad for option A, button 2 for option B, and button 1 for option C. It's not the most intuitive, and it doesn't give you feedback on what you selected, so I had to read the manual to figure out what was going wrong. Playing trivia games like this is frustrating enough. Actually knowing the answer and being told I picked the wrong one just made things worse. Everyone knows Einstein's Nobel Prize was for the photoelectric effect. If you have enough points at the end of the round, then you advance, and you get a nice little cutscene of a reporter at whatever the next location is. As you can see, they are really focused in on Hawaii. If you fail to get enough points, then it's game over. But you can continue 3 times. You will notice with the locations that the only thing that changes is the flag in the upper right-hand corner. With all of the questions in Quiz Marugoto The World being fully voiced, it does raise the issue of how many trivia questions are in the game, and I couldn't find a good answer to that, but I can tell you that I was getting a few repeat questions while I was playing. It makes me think that there's probably around 1,000 questions in the game, but that one is just a guess. Now, if you're finding the quizzing to be too easy, there is a secret super hard mode. To activate this, on the main menu, you have to press and hold select and run, which usually resets the console, and then press left. In this mode, you have to maintain at least 80% correct across multiple rounds of quizzing, and if you win, then you're rewarded with digitized convention photos. I'm not sure where they were taken, but it does look like a convention hall and people are wearing costumes. Appropriately enough for this mode, virtually all of the questions are on cartoons, comics, and video games. The few Japanese players I could find for Quiz Marugoto The World were all pretty positive on the game. More than one of them mentioned picking it up in a bargain bin and having a good time with it. Of course, I think American players are going to struggle a lot more than those Japanese fans. That's just the nature of quiz games, of course. And as a quiz game package, I actually think this is kind of bare bones. You've got cutscenes every 10 questions, but then you're back to the same format. When it comes to the quizzing, everything's pretty utilitarian. They're not playing around with trick questions or changing up the format. It is just 10 questions where you have 3 options each, and then on to the next. So if you really wanted to play a Japanese trivia game from the early 90s, Quiz Marugoto The World is fine, but there's a lot better options for you. You'll probably want to pick something that does more with the format.